Hello, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful edition of Enterprise Chat here at MSME Africa. Last week, we talked about branding, marketing, communication, and all for entrepreneurs. Today, we have yet another young and vibrant entrepreneur. This time, a startup coach, mentor, advisor, and all of that. He is Mr. Idowu Akinde, aka Coach. He's a founder of a digital co-creation firm, Boolean Lab. Good morning. We're happy to have you here on the chat.
Thank you so much, Aradimi. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, MSME Africa. Happy to be here.
Okay, so we're looking at the Nigerian Startup Act 2022, what's in it for you and I. But before we get into the discussion for today, I want you to just briefly, because I have your profile apparently, but I want you to just briefly talk to us about you, who you are, and what you do.
All right. Thank you very much once again for having me. Should I give you the funny version of what I do or the serious version?
Yes, you can. We want a mix of both. I mean, who is Coach?
Okay, so when I want to be funny, I say that I help startup founders clear the cobwebs in their heads.
I'm trying to make that in mind right now.
Well, most people don't know that there are cobwebs in their head, but after a few conversations, you know, they finally get the aha moment and they're like, oh, you know, to be more serious, what do we do? At Boolean Labs, we help, at Boolean Labs, we help people build enduring and fundable businesses, okay? So if I may take just a minute to explain what that means. I have been privileged to work in some advisory, mentoring, or coaching capacity with over 1,000 startups in the last 4 years. If you stand at that level where I've been privileged to stand, and you are able to see the data for thousands of startups, you will see the trend as clear as black and white or day and night. There is a set of cognitive attributes that the teams that build successful businesses possess, but are absent in the teams that are not able to build successful, aka enduring, long-lasting business. I can show you the data. We can dissect this in many ways, but just to summarize it, there is a clear link between how your brain is configured and how you are thinking about that business that you are building. That, you know, there's a clear link between that mental makeup and the longevity, the endurance, the success of your business. In a summary, Boolean Labs helps people acquire those cognitive attributes. Thank you very much.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think it would be nice to say, I want to hear a bit of your startup story. How did it all start for you? How did you begin this journey?
I'm sorry, you're breaking. I don't know if it's my network.
Okay, I will take that again. I'll take that again. I'm saying that I think it would be nice to just ask you to briefly share with us your startup story, your journey so far. How did it begin for you?
Okay, so the other way that I like to introduce myself is a retired coffee junkie. So 2022, maybe 20-something years ago, I started my career as a programmer, okay? I used to write computer programs for a living. I used to build software for a living. Back in the days, the programming languages that we built software with are today referred to as dinosaur languages. But that's my origin, that's where I started. What has happened over the course of 2+ decades is that I have evolved from that person who was solely responsible for a very narrow slice of the big products to somebody who is responsible for the work of a team of developers, sometimes in team lead capacity, sometimes in product management capacity, sometimes in project management capacity, to someone who is responsible for entire products, sometimes a business manager, a vice president of software development, a unit head or a division, blah, 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 all the way to someone who manages different teams of developers, someone who, like a software team coach, like an agile coach. And nowadays, I think that I have landed on something that I find incredibly fulfilling, which is coaching startups,
All right. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Mr. Akinde. Let's quickly delve into this topic of discussion for today. Now, of course, it's no longer news. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, recently announced that the Nigerian Startup Bill has been passed into law by the president, and is now recognized as the Nigerian Startup Act 2022. Like our topic says, what exactly is the need for you?
Okay, great question. Thank you very much. The Nigerian Startup Act, or the Nigerian Startup Bill, up to a few days ago, used to be known as a Startup Bill, but now is more accurately referred to as an Act, meaning it is now a law in the territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, okay? Is the result of 17 months of work led by some people who championed the cause of startups. If you recall, a sizable portion of the complaints that accompanied the NSAS movement of a couple of years ago was the wrongful identification of young startup founders, by the security forces as potentially fraudsters just because they are carrying laptops. Okay, so this is just one of those many other things that the early organizers of the Nigerian startup ecosystem noticed. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, so should I take that again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I was saying that the Nigerian Startup Act is the result of about 17 months of work by some of the people who were the early organizers of the Nigerian startup ecosystem, the local startup ecosystem in Nigeria. They noticed a couple of things that could be done better, or which were inhibiting factors that were not allowing startups to launch and grow. And they said, hey, what if we lobby the government to create a special set of conditions that allow startups to thrive? So in a nutshell, the Startup Act is a documentation and a passing into law of certain conditions that hopefully, if implemented, executed right, will enable startups to thrive, blossom, and grow in Nigeria.
Okay, so I know you have just explained what exactly that act is, but exactly what do we need for entrepreneurs? What do we see on the back of this? The president just accepted the bill. It just became an act. So what do we see on the back of this?
Okay. Two major benefits to startups. Okay, some could say three, but I would say two. One is tax holidays. So, provided one of the provisions of the Nigerian Startup Act, of the recently passed Nigerian Startup Act, is that startups that qualify according to the prescribed criteria will be eligible for tax holidays. Okay, so there is going to be a period during the growth of that startup that for as long as they qualify to be a startup, certain taxes will be waived for them. I have campaigned and canvassed and spoken publicly about this for donkey years, and it's one of the things that really, really gives me joy. Again, on the condition that it is executed properly. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the government, through the Act, has promised to set aside a fund, to set aside money, seed funding money. So anybody who is, so in the startup world, or in the world of building startups, there are stages to building your startup. There is one of those critical stages is the milestone called the seed stage. So usually people talk about seed, pre-seed, blah, 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 okay? What the government has done through this act is that they've provided a fund to be created and administered by NITDA. NITDA is NITD, Nigerian Information Technology Development Agency. They are the ones that will administer this fund. And this fund is available as grants and loans to startups that qualify according to this criteria. Again, it all depends on solid execution and implementation. It's a beautiful plan, but it depends on execution. The third thing is slightly related to the first one, and is now a tax relief for the founders of those startups. The first one was tax relief for the business. Second is seed funding, and third is tax relief for the founders. Those are the major key points. We can go into some of the modalities at a later time. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those beautiful insights. Well, okay, so away from this act now, I want you to just briefly share with us what entrepreneurship has really been like for you.
Okay, we might have to spend the whole day talking about my journey, because
just briefly, how would you define this whole journey of entrepreneurship?
I'm just trying to be funny. Well, entrepreneurship, has probably been the most exciting aspect of my life. The reason being, entrepreneurship has exposed me to pretty much everything that I could say that I have today. And some people may not understand when I use when I say that entrepreneurship has probably been most useful to me while I was in paid employment, because that mindset of I don't know how to stop, I don't know how to say, I don't know how to do something, quickly signaled to some of my employers that, hey, keep this guy, or hey, take care of this guy, or promote this guy, or give this guy so and so responsibility. I think that, and I talk to young employees and young career starters a lot, and I tell them, perhaps most important to have among the employability skills is the sense of ownership, okay? The sense that, look, if somebody gives you a task to do, just own it 100% and get it done and eliminate excuses. That singular thing, I think I got it from my entrepreneurship journey. And I think that is a single thing that has helped me the most. Thank you.
Okay, so joining us today on Enterprise Chat here at MSME Africa. Yes, we do hope that you will join us again next week. Thank you so much. But don't forget, you can connect with us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at MSME Africa. Thank you once again for joining. I am Aramde Florenshaw. See you next week.